here we are. Turn 1 of the second combined game playthrough, Rolling Flames, Days of Decision 3. This will be the January-February 1936 turn. This game is not meant to be a tutorial. There are others that have done tutorials. You can check them out. There's at least one guy on YouTube that's done tutorials about how to play this particular game. But as you follow through with the game with me, you probably will end up learning how to play. I'll be going through the sequence of play pretty much every turn. And let's start. So the very first thing we do is we do the political phase. So let's go over and take a look at the political setup. Okay, the order for this turn is already predetermined. It's in the setup of the game. And seem to have lost my tweezers, but anyways. So the first last card is here, and the second last card is down there. Each major power from the lowest initiative position, which is Germany, which will be the first player. It's the lowest initiative position, but it's also considered the best because you go first when you're in the lowest position. Each major power is considered to already have bid the previous this turn 1 point for each one of them, and this is the position that they start out in. So the first player up is Germany. So let's go and take a look at what Germany wants to do. Go over here. The political option, each major power has a little booklet like this one, which describes all the political options that they are capable of selecting for each country individually. There's also international political options. And I found my tweezers, okay. That's in a separate booklet. Probably get a chance to look at that too. Let me fix this a little bit. There we go. Alright, so the political option that Germany is going to pick for turn 1 is this one right here, option number 6. Occupy the Rhineland. Let's see if we can get a better look at that. Alright. I think it's going on here. Oh, okay. Let me adjust the camera a little bit here. There we go. That's better. Okay, let's read the prerequisites. Germany can only play this option if France is not currently occupying the Rhineland, which they are not, and if Germany's initiative position is lower than France, which when we were just over there looking at that, we see that Germany's in the first position, which is the lowest, so they are lower than France. So they may select the option. Now, there's a number of minor country effects here that you can see. Those markers will be put out after the option is selected and implemented. The cost of the option is 3 money. The U.S. entry, now the U.S. entry is tracked for all 8 major powers. And the U.S. entry is, they use a formula, and that's how the United States can basically start to influence the war, the conduct of the war through certain political actions. And at some point, if U.S. entry gets high enough for like one of the fascist powers, or even the communist power, the U.S. can declare war on that power. I believe it is 80 for all of them. Anyways, we'll get into that formula at some point, probably down the line a ways. This is 1936. You're really not going to see a lot that's going to do anything. So, after being played, you gain immediate control of the Rhineland as part of your home country. You can place reinforcements there. You also now control all Rhineland resources and factories. Now, Germany already had access to one resource, I believe. all French alliances with Belgium will be broken. So we will remove the Belgian marker over in that chart. Okay, if French Commonwealths come to war with Germany, okay, that's not gonna apply. This is a limited option. Can only be taken once, and so okay. So I will go and pay the money, put the markers out, and then Germany will get to activate a minor. I'll be right back. Okay, I've paid the money, and I have put out the various minor country influence markers for Germany. And now, in this part of the political phase, it is time for Germany to activate a minor. Now, not every political option allows the activation of a minor. Usually it's the O options, so it's OA, OB, OC, OD. I don't generally, as a house rule, activate minors with those because you're not paying any money, so don't really activate minors with those for the most part. But this particular political option, yes, Germany will be allowed to activate a minor, and most of the influence with either -1s or +1s, but Belgium got a +3. So I think that Germany is going to activate Belgium. And what we do is we grab the +3. You grab all the markers in the minor. In this case, there's only one. So we grab the +3. We'll go over to the political display. All right. We got the +3 right here. Upside down. There we go. That's better. Okay. Here's the Belgium minor country political marker. It's right here. It's in the democratic ideology. The alliance with France was broken, so that's not going to affect anything. Now, normally to move a marker 1 hex, it costs 2 points. Now, there are modifiers for that, like crossing any kind of boundary, like this is a boundary from one part of this ideology to they're called factions, to the faction that's next to it. Like in the Democrat, you got this is the Social Democrat faction, this is the Free Market faction, and this is the Capitalist faction. So it'll go from one faction to another, cost an extra point. To move away from a major power that can control you, like France, costs an extra point. To move away from an ally, costs an extra point. To move towards you in your ideology, it subtracts 1 point from the cost. There's a whole chart down here that tells you what all the costs are and whatnot. But the minimum cost is always 1 per hex. So in this case, we want to move Belgium. We got 3 German points. It's going to move it towards Germany. Germany is down here. See if we can get them both in together. The same, probably not. I'll just back out. You can see Germany is down here, and Belgium's way over here, and both in 2 different ideologies. Obviously, Germany's in the fascist ideology. There we go. All right. So, it costs 2 to go to this hex. I'm going to pay an extra point for moving away from France, because France can control Belgium. There's a limit on what some countries can control as far as minors go. I believe Japan, Italy, the US, and China are limited in their control of minors. But the Commonwealth, France, the Soviet Union, Germany can control any of them. So there's 4 that can control any of them, and 4 that are limited in their control. There's certain minors they can control, and only those minors. But okay, so that really doesn't matter at this point. So we're going to move this marker. We're going to move it to here. It's going to cost 2 for the hex and an additional 1 for moving away from a major power that can control this minor. So it's going to cost 3, and that's exactly what Germany had, was a 3. Now, the last thing we do is we roll a die, to see if we end the political phase. After every major power conducts a political phase, roll a die. A 1 will end the phase. Ugh. Oh, that was bad. All right. Stand fell over. I'll probably leave that in. How often does a stand fall over, right? Okay. All right, so let's back to die rolling. All right, so a 1 will end the political phase, and we add 1 for each previous political phase that was played. In this case, none, because Germany was the first player. So basically, a 1 in the political phase is over. 6. Where's my die? Right there, 6. So the political phase will continue. We will move the last card marker down 1. I think I need to get a weight for my stand. Next up will be Italy. Let's go see what the Italians want to do. All right. Italy. I think what Italy is going to do is select option 0D. Build a factory or a synthetic oil plant. In this case, we're also going to attach developing resources to this option, because there isn't an option in here in any of these options that says build or develop a resource on the board. I think it might be in there with the rules about the resource counters, but I'm just going to house rule it and use this one. The cost is 0 money. The cost is actually going to be on the counter. Let me grab the counter. So Italy has an oil counter in Libya. It's right here. The cost is 6 money. Very expensive. Takes 6 turns to develop. So because this is an OD and one of the O options, I'm not going to activate a miner with that. Instead, we'll just have Italy pay that, and there's no influence, there's no US entry, so there's nothing to do other than see if Italy ends the political phase, which I will do right now. Roll a die. It's a 1. There's been 1 previous political phase played, so in this case it will be a -1 from the die. A 4. -1 is 3. That's not a 1, so the political phase will continue, and we'll be right back. Okay, I've moved the last card marker down to the Commonwealth. And what the Commonwealth is going to do is they are going to propose a level 1 treaty with France. Now, the whole idea of proposing a treaty with France is that the democracies rather, know that they need to band together in order to be able to stop the fascists. And they can't effectively do that without treaties between each other. So the land and air forces of the Commonwealth right now are not allowed in France, because France and the Commonwealth need a treaty in order for that to happen. There are different levels of treaty. There are 3 levels of treaty. We'll go over that at another time in a different video, maybe if they get a level 2 treaty signed, but this is going to be a level 1 treaty. It's going to allow the Commonwealth and France to sign a trade agreement, and so let's go over what this actually entails. So it's for money, and it says if successful down there, because in order for this to be successful, France has to play her 0F option, which is called accept the proposal. Now, if that happens, then I will put these markers out for the minor countries. I will record the U.S. entry, and during that point, in addition to the treaty chart, so I have to go over to the treaty chart and add those. And that is right here. This is the treaty chart. And you can see, let's see where France is. This is France right here. So the treaty chart, in addition to what is on the option, the English will gain a U.S. entry of 7. In addition to that, which I think was 4, so it'll be 11. And then, in addition to the ones on the option chart, all these minor countries down through here will be getting influence markers, Commonwealth influence markers. Once that's accomplished, then we will have the Commonwealth activate a minor. Doesn't specifically says the Commonwealth activates a minor, but the OF option, you don't activate a minor. In this, the treaty option, you're supposed to activate a minor. So I'm going to let the Commonwealth activate a minor. I think that'll be part of the House rules, even though it's not the Commonwealth's turn. She will activate the minor. However, before we get there, we have to roll to see if the turn ends. And if the turn ends, then there's no treaty. The Commonwealth doesn't have to pay the money. There's no U.S. entry. There's no minor effects. It's just, that's it. Never got to the point where France got a chance to accept it. So, roll to a die to see if the political phase ends. Now, there's been 2 previous options played. So, there'll be a -2 from the die. And we rolled a 5. So, the political phase will continue. Now, we'll dig out the French booklet. Now we're on France's political phase, and I move the last card marker down to France, and France is going to select French option 0F, agree to a proposal. So she's going to accept the treaty from the Commonwealth. So now, like I had just said, I'm going to go through and put all the markers out, and then the Commonwealth will get to activate a minor, and then we'll roll to see if France ends the political phase at this point. I'll be right back. Okay, so I have put the influence markers out and recorded the U.S. entry, which is a whopping 11. I mean, it's almost 3 times what Germany has right now for U.S. entry. All right, let's see who the Commonwealth wants to activate as a minor. Let's take a tour here. Well, we have Siam -2. Obviously, we don't want to activate that. That's going to do the opposite of what we want. We got 1 point in Saudi Arabia. We got to let that build before we do anything, because remember, it takes generally 2 points to move a marker. Yeah, we don't want to do that. This Turkey's a -2. We got 1 point in Romania, but the Germans also have a point. We do have 2 points in Yugoslavia. It's -1 in Austria. Don't mind the glare. This glare, this is the lights up above. I mean, I'm going to try to avoid having it on camera, but it just is what it is. Okay, Czechoslovakia, we have 3 in Czechoslovakia. That's pretty good. We have 2 in Poland, and Germany has 1. We have -1 in Sweden, -1 in Norway, 1 positive in Denmark. Germany has -1. We have -2 in the Netherlands. Germany has -1. We have 1 in Belgium. Remember, the ones basically are not going to do anything. And over here we have 1 in Spain and 1 in Portugal. And way over in Americas, 1 in Mexico. So, we could do Yugoslavia. But the problem with Yugoslavia is, and I'll show you that right now. Come over here to the status display, right? We have 2 points in Yugoslavia. Here's Yugoslavia. We pick up the marker. We see that in the brackets underneath, the parentheses, we have France and Russia. What that means is that Yugoslavia has an alliance with France and an alliance with Russia. So if we want to move the Yugoslavian marker towards the Commonwealth, we're not moving away from France, but over here is the Soviet marker. So they have an alliance with the Soviet Union, Russia, So it would cost an extra point to move away from the Soviet marker. So it would actually cost 3 points to move there. No good. We only have 2. It would be basically wasting our influence. So we could do Czechoslovakia. Now, Czechoslovakia is right here in the middle of the Social Democrat ideology, but we notice that Czechoslovakia has a treaty with France. I'm going to activate Czechoslovakia. I mean, it might behoove the British to get an alliance with Czechoslovakia rather than the French. Might be easier because the French generally don't do a lot of political activity. They don't have the money for it. The Commonwealth has more money, so yeah, we're going to activate Czechoslovakia. Let me grab the markers. Alright, we got 1 German and 3 Commonwealth. Okay, now sometimes the order matters, but in this case it's really not going to matter. The 1 German will move the marker this way. That costs 2 to go to that hex, an additional 1 to move away from France. So basically the marker is just blown off. Can't move it. Now, the Czech marker, we can move either here or here. Now it's going to cost 2 for this hex, 1 to go across the boundary, and an additional 1 for moving away from France. So it would cost 4 to go there. But this hex will cost 2 for the hex and 1 to move away from France. So it would only cost 3. So we will move the check marker here. I don't know if the French are particularly happy about that. But I think in the long run, it would be better to have Czechoslovakia allied to the Commonwealth than France. But that's something that we'll have to, the French and the Commonwealth will have to come to agreement on in sometime in the future. All right, let's go and see if we're going to end the political phase. So we've had 3 previous political phases played. All right, so this is going to be a -3 from the die. Hey, we rolled another 5. So that -3, 5 minus 3 is 2. The political phase continues. I will move the marker down. Next up is the Soviet Union. Let's see what good old Stalin's going to do. Let's see. The Russians, I think, are going to purge. Stalin's paranoid, so he's going to purge. So this is Russian option 6. Soviet Union may not play this option if she is at war with Germany. Nope. The Tukhachevsky HQ and the 3 Soviet infantry units, that's the 3 best Soviet infantry units. Well, the 3 Soviet infantry units must be in the Soviet Union, and there are 3. Now, let's see, there's a whole bunch of minor effects. Right here we can see them. There's a -4 U.S. entry, so the U.S. actually likes that. The cost is 3 money. See that right here. And let's see the effects. Playing this option increases the Soviet Union's political effectiveness by 2. Remove Tukhachevsky HQ from the game and destroy the 3 best on-map Soviet infantry. The Eremenko HQ is now added to the Soviet force pool from 1940 onwards. Okay, so I will pay the money. I will put out the political markers, and when we come back, I'll activate a miner for the Soviet Union. Okay, we're back. Let's take a look at what option markers went out for the Soviet Union for their purge. I still have to take off the 3 best Russian Soviet. Here's the Tukhachevsky HQ. You can see it's a 755. It's like one of the best ones they have. I've removed a 5-3 infantry army, a 4-3 infantry army, and 3-3 Infantry Army. Those will all go back in the force pool, except the HQ, which will go back in the at-start forces for the Soviets. All right, markers. We got one in Persia, which is labeled Iran on this board. We got one in Iraq. We got one in Turkey. We got a -1 in Bulgaria. That's not good. We got one in Romania. We got a -1 in Yugoslavia. We got one in Hungary, one in Austria, -1 in Czechoslovakia, one in Poland. Surprisingly, we have 2 in the Baltic states. I guess the fact that the Soviet Union just lost a whole pile of infantry kind of makes the Baltic states happy. -2 in Finland, -1 in Sweden. So it's basically most of the miners that border the Soviets that were affected by this. So I think who we're going to activate is we're going to activate the Baltic states. Grab the marker, go over to the status display. And the Baltic states are in this pile in the middle here somewheres, so I have to dig them out. Probably should have done this previously, because you know there's just a giant pile of them here. Ah, there we go. It wasn't too far down. So here we have the Baltic states right in the middle of the status display. That's that hex right there, that's the middle. So we have 2 Soviet points to spend. Each hex costs 2. There's no treaties or anything influencing this. So that's going to basically move the Baltic states 1 hex this way towards the Soviet Union, which is over here in the communist ideology. Give you a better picture of that. There we go. The Soviet markers right here. Move the Baltic states. Now the Soviets, if they actually get it here, they could sign a treaty with the Baltic states and align them at some point if they end up at war. The other effect was that the Soviet political effectiveness, which is starts the game out as a 2, was moved up 2 points. So now it is a 4. But it still has a -1 attached to it because of the naval treaty, London Naval Treaty. I have to recalculate that ratio every turn if there are ships added and whatnot. All right, let's see if we end the political phase. Come back over here. Roll a die. There has been 4 political options played previously. Roll a 6. 4 minus 6 is 2. We will move on to Japan. All right, I think the Japanese are going to do, they're far enough down on the track, they don't have a lot of political options left to them. I was going to have them do a minor economic agreement, but the willpower of the country, the minor country they wanted to sign it with is a 3. And your initiative has to be equal to the willpower of the minor country or lower to sign an economic agreement with them. And Japan is number 5. Number 6. Her position on the initiative track is 6. Obviously not lower than 3. So what she's going to pick is she's going to pick the Tianjin crisis. Maybe not. Japan's initiative position is less than the Commonwealth, France, and the U.S., and Japan is at peace with the Commonwealth and the U.S. Okay, so we can't do that one. That was bad. I didn't even look at that. All right, I gotta look this over. All right, decided that since can't get the Tianjin option and we can't get a minor economic agreement, Japan's going to go for broke. All right, they're going to go with Tojo takes over. Now, Japan may only play this option if either Japan has previously played JA7, which is Japan abandons Manchuria, which if that happens, the game is pretty much over, or Japan's initiative is greater than any two of the Commonwealth, the Soviet Union, China, and USA. Well, Japan is 6, the Soviet Union is 5, and the Commonwealth is 3. So her initiative is greater than the Commonwealth and the Soviet Union. So she's going to play this. Now, what this does, it costs 1 money. There's some minor effects here. The U.S. entry is a whopping 11, but we're going to take it. Okay, we're going to get this done. We're going to take it. We're going to increase our political effectiveness by 2. That's going to be a big jump for her. So what I'll do is I'll record all this and put the markers out, and I'll be right back with activating a minor. Okay, we're back. I want to read the effects of this. So the first thing we do is we increase Japan's political effectiveness by 2. That brings her from a 2 to a 4. Japan must move her political marker toward the center of fascism. Japan gets 8 movement points minus her initiative position. Main move minus she's stacked with, however, it costs for the minors. You must stop as soon as you reach one of the center hexes not already occupied by another major power. So, you got 8 points. Her initiative position is 6, so that gives her 2 points. I don't even think it's going to move. Let's go over here and take a look. Alright, here's Japan. To move to this hex costs 2, but 1 for the border is 3. We only have 2 points, so Japan's marker won't move. Alright, now Japan gets to activate a minor. And I think she was thinking about activating Siam, which has a -2 Commonwealth and a +2 Japan. But I think she wants to let that Japanese positive influence build a little bit more before she activates Siam. So I think what we're going to do, this is a little bit of political strategy, is we're going to activate Portugal. Now you see Portugal has a -1 Japan and a +1 Commonwealth. So neither of these is enough to move the political marker because Portugal is, I'll show you where that is. It's right here. Now, Portugal does have an alliance with the Commonwealth, but it's only to move away from the Commonwealth that it adds. There's no subtracting moving towards the Commonwealth while in the neutral zone. So it would actually still cost 2 to move here, and we only have a 1 Commonwealth, so that's not going to do it. Here's the markers. And obviously to get to this hex it's going to cost 2 moving towards Japan. To move away from Japan it's going to cost 2 for the hex, so that's not going to do anything. And to move 1 towards the Commonwealth costs 2 for the hex, and that's not going to do anything. So in effect, we remove the positive influence from a Commonwealth positive influence from Portugal, and we remove the negative influence from Japan in Portugal. Alright, the last thing we're going to do for Japan's political phase is to roll to see if the turn ends. Okay, let's see. We've had 5 previous political initiatives, political options played. So there's going to be a -5 to the die. Oh my gosh! I roll. The roll was a 10, so 10 minus 5 is 5. The political turn will continue. I'll move the marker down to the U.S. I gotta dig out the U.S. I think what the U.S. is going to do is they're kind of looking at this And they're thinking that, well, if they can get the political phase to China, they would like to have a level 1 treaty with China. So that's what the U.S. is going to propose. And it's right there. Level 1 treaty with China. For money, here's the U.S. So actually the U.S. entry is 7. So yeah, the U.S. has a U.S. entry level. I guess what that is trying to show is that the more active the U.S. is, the less likely that she is to come into the war because the population sees how active she's behaving politically. Remember, you got to remember that the U.S. was a kind of a population was a pro-neutrality population. So the effects are right here. I gotta roll a die to see if the political phase ends. None of this is going to happen unless we can get to China. So let's see. Let's roll a die. Oh, gosh, I rolled another 10. So the political phase will move to China. Now China is the last country to go. And she is going to play her OF, accept the proposal. I don't even need to dig that out. So she will accept the level 1 treaty from the United States. And that is going, oh, I got to put the markers out for the U.S. And then the U.S. needs to come back and activate a minor. And I will do that, and I will be right back. Okay, for the last thing we have to do is have the U.S. activate a minor. And I think who they're going to activate is Portugal. Because there really isn't a whole lot of U.S. influence out there. A bunch of 1 points and -1s, but we have 2 in Portugal. So we're going to activate Portugal. Grab the marker, we'll come over here to the display. Here's the marker. 2 points. Portugal's right here. Remember, Portugal has a alliance with the Commonwealth. But this is gonna, since the U.S. is down in the capitalist ideology and the Commonwealth is in the free market ideology. There we go. You can see it now. Here's the U.S. Here's the Commonwealth. It's kind of like a straight line towards this, so it's not going to affect anything. The +1 to move away from a allied major power is not going to affect anything, so it's going to cost 2 for this hex. Move it right there, and that is the end of that. The political phase is over. Okay, so I have rolled for weather. We've also rolled the initiative. The initiative came out something like this. We have the blue dice represents, oops, I got them backwards. The blue dice represents Democrats. The red dice is the communists, and the white dice is the fascists. So the roll was a 1, 2, 8. The Democrats are in the 0 box. The communists are in the +1 box. And the fascists are in the +2 box. So this is a 10. That's a 3. And that's a 1. So the fascists decided that they were going to go last. So the communists decided that they were going to go after the Democrats, which puts the Democrat, communist, fascist. The weather roll was a 4, which is snow in the Arctic, storm in North Temperate, fair in the Mediterranean and North Monsoon, rain in the South Monsoon, and fair in South Temperate. The impulse marker will be moving up 2. And there is a +1 to the next weather roll. Alright, so we will start with the reinforcements. I really don't think there, oh no, there aren't any. There aren't any for this turn. Okay, so let me grab my sequence of play. Okay, sequence of play. Let's see. So we did the political phase, reinforcements. There aren't any lending resources, none. We did the initiative, action stage. We determined weather. First side's impulse, that would be the Democrats. I don't see that they're going to do anything. The French are probably going to do something. Okay, choose action. The French are going to choose a combined action, because when you're neutral, the only action you can choose is pass or combined. Let me show you what they're going to do. They're going to take their transport from Toulon. It's got can go 3. So we're going to go 1, 2, to the 0 box here. And we're going to, naval movement, street bar, ground strike, naval movement, land movement. We're going to embark this infantry corps in Syria. This 5-3 infantry corps in Syria. I'm going to embark that onto the French transport. And that will return to base at the end of the turn and deliver that infantry corps to France. Oh, that's part of naval movement, embarking ground units. Okay, ground strike, rail movement. We have no rail movement. Land movement. We have no land movement. China has no land movement right now. Air transport, none. Debark land units at sea, no. Invasions, paradrops, land combat, air rebasing, no. Reorganization, no. So that's the end of the Democrats' turn. We'll move the marker, the impulse marker, up 2. The communists have nothing going on, so we will move it up 2 to the fascists. The Italians, however, are at war with Ethiopia. So let's go take a look at that. You know, we got Ethiopia. We got Haile Selassie. It's got a strength of 2. We got the Addis Ababa militia unit. That's a strength of 2. They're in mountains. The weather down here in the Mediterranean zone. It's a north monsoon here. This is the Med. This area is the Med. Is fair. So we could actually do something down here. Let's see if it's worth doing. Let's see. That's 10 there. Because this is 16. This is 8. 10. That's 16. I mean, we got a 2-to-1. So, let's see. Okay, so the Italians are taking a combined. Port attacks, naval air missions, naval movement. So we are going to do something. With naval movement. Let's go back over to Italy. We're going to embark this 5-5 mech corps on the 3-3 transport. It can go 3, so that's 1, 2, and it ends up in the Red Sea. Put them down here. Okay. Alright, so we can't just debark him because we don't want to spend oil. We get 1 oil-free unit to move each impulse. And that's going to be this air unit right here. And we'll see that in a minute. So that's naval movement. No naval combat, no opponent's naval combat. There's no strategic bombardment. Ground strikes. So this guy here is going to go 2, 4, and he's going to ground strike those 2 units. Let me grab some dice. So he has a 2, so he needs a 1 or a 2, and that will effectively flip over one of these units. Each unit that's flipped over will add 1 to the die on the combat. So let's see what we get. So we got 2 dice. The red will be the top unit, the green will be the bottom unit. Well, I did get a 2. I got a 1 and an 8 actually. So let's see. Let's show you that. So the red is the bottom unit. So that's gonna, well, the red is the top unit. So that's gonna flip Halle Selassie, and the green is the bottom unit. He missed the militia. So the air unit will fly back to Asmara. Now, what that's going to do is that's going to give a possible +1 to the attack. Well, let's see if this is worth doing. Divided by 4 would be half. Yeah, so Bagley, what's his name? Bagolio. He's going to do, so we're going to have one attack right here. It's going to be 2 to 1. He's going to add his HQ support. All right, so that's going to give me another, give them another +1. It's 16 to 8. So that's going to be a 2 to 1 +2. Our very first attack. Very first attack. We're going to use the, let's show you that. I'll show you that on the chart here. It could be bad. Italians really can't afford to mess this up. So here we have the assault table. 2 to 1. We got +2, so the worst we're going to get is a 3. A 1 or 2 would be bad. A 3 would be bad. Anything else is kind of acceptable. So 1, 2, or 3 is just, so it's like a 30% chance of having a bad roll. Let's see what they get. I rolled a 4. Let's see what that is. So 4 + 2 is 6. That is a 1-1. Not exactly what the Italians wanted. I guess we'll have to take whatever we can get, and all the units will, since there's no asterisk or cross, all the units will be flipped over. So this will be the only attack for this turn. So the 1 is obviously going to be the militia unit, and we're going to take the infantry division for the Italians. All these units will be flipped over. Now that's kind of okay. I mean, it's kind of okay, I guess. Might not even need that mechanized corps. This is going to be a 4. Let's see what will be after this. This is going to be a 4. 2, 6, 10, and 6. 16 to 4. It's a 4 to 1. 16 to 4, 4 to 1. Let's take a look at that. See if we 4 to 1, 5 to 1. 5 to 1's better. Yeah, we're probably going to take that core anyways. All right. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. So that's debark land units at sea. We're not going to do that. We're going to let it return to base. Invasions, pair drops, land. We did the land combat. Yeah, okay. Air rebasing, no air rebasing, no reorganization. So that's the end of the first fascist turn. I don't really see. Japan basically sent 1 unit to Asia. That was all she was going to do. And I think that's about it. I think that is it. Oh, and Germany also took a land move to occupy the Rhineland. I have to kind of do that. Well, that was kind of out of sequence, but can't keep track of everything, I guess. Alright, so that's it. I'm going to run through the rest of the turn off screen, and I'll let you know what impulse it ends on. Okay, the turn ended on impulse number 22. The weather was kind of terrible, with a blizzard in the Arctic, snow in North Temperate and Mediterranean, fair in North Monsoon, storm in South Monsoon, and rain in South Temperate. And there will be a +2 to the weather roll for the next turn. I have done there's no partisans. I have done production. let's take a look at what we got for production here. If I can manage it here. Alright, well, we'll do the best we can. So, what we got for production is, start with the Soviets. They are building the Timoshenko HQ that cost them $5. Well, for starters, they produced 3, saved in oil. They had a total of 5 for the turn, and they spent 5. So they'll have 0 for next turn. Next up is Germany. She produced 6, saved in oil, 9 total. So she is laying down the Graf Zeppelin and laying down the Tirpitz and building a pilot. That's a total of 6. Japan produced 2, saved in oil, had a total of 6. She's going to build 2 combat air groups. They don't cost anything. She is laying down the Hiryu, building a convoy point and a tanker point. That's a total of 4. 2, 3, 4. Right? The Commonwealth. She produced 4. There's a total of 10, so she's building a pilot. That's 2. 2 CAGs, no cost. 2 tanker point for 3. Convoy point for 4. Laying down transport for 2 is 6. A light cruiser for 1 is 7. And pulling the Furious out of the construction pool for 2 is a total of 9. France produced 2. Had a total of 7. Built a pilot. Convoy point. And 3 tanker points. That's a total of 6. The U.S. produced 3. Had a total of 9 to start. Pulled 2 ships out of the construction pool. The Lexington and the Saratoga. That's a total of $8. China produced 1. Had a total of 2. Italy produced 1. And had a total of 0. Neither of them built anything. So I will get those on the spiral. And I will get this turn uploaded soon. And thanks for watching. And I will see you shortly with another turn.